Guys, there was a time in my knife collecting that I did love big, overbuilt, crazy, over-the-top knives. But that time has passed. But every once in a while, there's a cool one that comes in. So let's take a look at the Miguron Knives Arma 2. Bang. Guys, this thing's a monster. And I said bang because, well, it came from Knives and it's really heavy. This is the Miguron Knives Arma 2. So I haven't seen the Arma 1, but I would imagine it's a big boy like this. This thing is massive. This is one of those crazy, huge, overbuilt knives. And just to give you a bit of perspective, the blade stock thickness on this is insanely thick. Let's compare it real quick to a similarly sized knife. This is the Django XL. That is the Arma 2. It is massive. Let's get this out of the way. This thing is huge. And it's not that it's huge. It is just dimensionally insane. Now, I still do love these overbuilt, over-the-top knives, but they don't appeal to me like they used to. There are some fun ones. I do have the Kodiak from PMP Knives and some of their knives, but what I'm impressed with on this first day in pocket, and it's a boat anchor, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard to carry. I'm impressed with how they did such a good job with such a thick blade stock, and then to still come down to a really decent behind the edge thickness. Now, the steel on this, I believe it's marked on here. It's M390, it's in titanium. Now, I don't have any real specs on this knife for you because it is the first I've carried it, but it is your typical Miguron AM8 style knife. When you look at it, this thing is really nicely done. They always hit the mark, and the action on it for a big knife, really pretty good. It is a flipper and reverse flick aperture operation knife, and it's while it's heavy, it doesn't feel out of sorts. It's got a nice balance to it. In hand, it's pretty comfortable because on larger knives like this that have a thicker dimension like this, when they're thicker this way and broader this way, they happen to be a little bit more comfortable for me having big hands. But it doesn't feel too big. Even though it's big and bulky and thick, it doesn't feel too big. It's kind of in that realm of what I would carry size-wise, just weight-wise. It's a little bit over the top. Beautifully done, fine diamond checkering on this. The Miguron Knives logo on the pivot. In and out of pocket, it's not too bad. It is heavy. I have to admit, it is heavy. But it's not so heavy that it is just... It's not prohibitively heavy. The pocket clip, really comfortable in hand, and I do like the fact that they made the pocket clip completely match the checkering on it. The blade is done in a drop point with a huge aperture in it, which gives you some weight reduction on this really thick blade, but it has this huge aperture on it that allows you to reverse flick, and it's got really nicely done jimping on the blade. So you guys know me, I don't like jimping unless it's going to be functional. If it's just there for looks, I don't like it. This is really good jimping. Access to the lock bar. Access to the lock bar is really good. You've got really good access to the lock bar, as you can see there. And then beautifully done hardware. They did not use T6 hardware. If you watched the video, I'm not sure if it's been out yet, but there's a video I put out where I just talk about how I hate T6 hardware in stuff. There are some little elephants in the room when it comes to the action. Oh, I wanted to talk about this. The action with that heavy blade. Watch this. It feels like it's got recoil. And then, oh, I wanted to mention, you can get all the way up in this choil. Like I said, even for a heavy knife, it's pretty well balanced. Now, like I said, I do have a couple negative things that I kind of have to point out about this knife. So let's go ahead and flip this around and do flip side of the story, flip side of the knife. So while this knife is beautifully done, there are some small things here. First and foremost, it's heavy. It is heavier than I would like. I have knives that are almost this heavy, that are this heavy or heavier, and I don't carry them very often. So the weight is a factor, especially if you're wanting a knife. This is listed as an outdoor knife. If you do any hiking, this is way heavier than I would want to try and have additional weight for, you know, camping gear. When I do the full review, we'll look at full specs and everything. Next thing, This is good in and out of pockets for jeans and things like that. It slides in and out of pocket really well. They didn't do anything silly like put this right over the cutouts for the lock bar tension. And this is not aggressive texturing, but in thicker pants, like a pair of 511s with a reinforced pocket, these catch. These do catch. And in my 511s, when I was pushing it felt like it was pushing my pants down a little bit, right? Next thing, the aperture on this is it's got some edges knocked off of it, but I think they could have done a little bit better of a job. So when you reverse flick, it's not that it's real sharp, but you can see you're losing some fingernail on that, and it does scuff up your fingernails. I don't think that we'd have too many ladies that would carry something like this that would you know, screw up their fingernail polish. But it is a little sharp, and if you've got smaller hands, it might be hard to get into it. Next thing, while the aperture is really big, the next thing about it, can you see this kind of cuts into it? And so it can get in your way. Where I naturally would want to put my finger to use that aperture, the beginning of that choil, that high spot right there, is kind of blocking me. So I either have to go above it or below it, which isn't my natural point. Right where that point is where I want to put my finger. Next thing, you really didn't need jimping on this flipper tab. It's ample. It did not need jimping on it. It really didn't at all. Next thing, I think I already did talk about weight, but I want to talk about it again. Even though they did weight reduction on this, and you can see they took some material out on this, I don't think a knife this big and bulky, I don't think it serves it really well to have a full backspacer. Because you can see this is a full backspacer. It's not like a half backspacer or a quarter backspacer. I think you could have cut this in half, right? And you wouldn't have to worry about that additional weight. And then the final thing on this, okay? The final thing on this is, as good as your access to the lock bar on this is another one of those knives that has a weird feel to it because of how high this is and how much material they removed here. You've got really good access, but you could see that is a significant difference from side to side with how high this is. Oh, and there is one thing. There is one more thing. I did forget this one. That's a very sharp edge right there. That's a really hard edge. When I get up on it and I push into it, I can definitely feel that very sharp point on that right there. So they did cut out and they chamfered that a little bit and filleted that a little bit, but then that point right there, let me see if I can get the focus to work. That point right there is very sharp up against your hand. A lot of knives have that, and I really absolutely hate it. It's pretty sharp in hand. I'm gonna carry this for a couple weeks or so and see if I change my mind on any of it. Is this cool? Yeah, it's really, really cool. I'm still kind of on the fence, but I'm gonna give it a yup for our current rating because it's not bad, and it's very well done. Just like all of the Miguron knives, it is an incredibly well done knife, and I dig it. I just don't know if it's a knife for me yet. We'll see. I'm gonna try and carry it on and off for the next couple weeks. Guys, that's it on this one. Let's turn this one around and send you out about your day with some final thoughts. Yeah, guys, this thing's really cool. It is pretty much an over-the-top kind of thing. We're gonna give it a fair shot like we always do on the channel, but these things have kind of had their day in the sun, and I think that day has passed. Especially for me, I like something that's gonna cut better. This may wind up being something that is outside of that box because it does have a really good behind edge thickness. So with that being said, guys, if you liked videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. Tell me why. Share the content with people you think would enjoy it. If you guys want to support the channel, I have a membership. You can do that. You can check that out. You can also use any of the affiliate links that are in the description of the videos down below. They support the channel. They don't cost you anything at checkout, but they definitely do help, especially that Amazon one. Take that link, put it to your browser, pin it to your browser, and use it for all of your Amazon shopping. There are a couple links down there, Coffee Brand Coffee and Tempered Trail, that have a 10% discount built into their links. Awesome, awesome coffee over at Coffee Brand Coffee, and some of the best laces, outdoor gear, stitched wallets, and things like that you're gonna find over at Tempered Trail. I also have a coupon code that will save you 10% at checkout at Ferrum Forged Knife Works, KATSU Blades, Rosecraft, KATSU Knives and Rosecraft Blades. There we go. Guys, that's pretty much it on this one. Don't forget to check out my public Discord down below. It says join the community. Guys, that's it on this one. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comments section, If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and I will see you in the next video.